What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Amalgam Show. I'm one of your hosts, Keena Johnson, alongside Shannon Hagler.
Hello.
And below me, Nathaniel Redden. God, I just blacked
Hello,
out.
I'm not Shannon.
Completely zoned out.
How you doing, Nathaniel?
You got beard?
No, I don't want to be here.
For context, it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I really wanted to try it because every time I've seen this, it's been super expensive in the supermarkets, and I saw it for 4 for the price of what you'd normally get one of. So I went, yeah, fuck it, I'll get it.
Probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
If it was always expensive and now it's suddenly really cheap.
So, is it good? Is it like, what's the review?
It's beer.
It's craft beer.
Yeah, it's beer.
It's exactly how craft beer tastes.
It's a tinny. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tastes like alcohol, carbonated water, and the tin.
I got this as well. 1 second.
Jesus Christ. Off to a fucking great start, this one is.
I always love podcasts that do this. You beaut.
You beaut.
Looks like sheep piss.
Yeah, you beaut.
Tastes like it too.
Oh, fuck.
I can imagine.
Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. Alright.
I always love when podcasts do this. It's just like starting off and it's just like, oh, I got something to show you. And they come
Yeah,
on.
oh, wait, no, give me a second.
Oh.
I've got... Fucking...
Look, my dog.
Yeah.
Because
Because
what's the Amalgam Show about?
Malcolm Show was about the pop culture and nerdy things that we like and are into, and right now about anything else, because God almighty. I record in the room that we save for our cat, and I usually close the door so the cat doesn't come in partway through and you don't hear like tinkle, 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 and it coughing up hairballs in the background. So I would normally display a cat at this point, but I close the door, and that usually means that when this recording is done, she's waiting at the door patiently because she has to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
The litter box is just there.
If you like what you're about to watch, please click that like button, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, or email us at amalgamshow@gmail.com. And check us out on social media at The Amalgam Show everywhere except the Nintendo eShop.
I was gonna say, have you used Flickr? Have you used
You've been
Flickr
waiting
yet?
to say that.
I have used Flickr.
Flickr? Damn it.
You're waiting for that, weren't you? You had that in mind for a couple of weeks.
No, I just looked over and saw my copy of Zelda, and I'm like, eShop.
I was trying to think of like an obscure social media, but
I've gone through them.
have you?
Yeah.
Are we everywhere except AOL Online?
I don't think I've used the old stuff,
Like
like,
the AOL.
pre-MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
before my
God.
time. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, you should Google some old internet chat rooms and we'll start using those.
What have you been up to lately, Nathaniel?
Playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that game. Fuck.
Yeah, last time we were talking about it, you guys were playing it and I was buying.
Yeah,
Now
you were
guys-
buying it in the stream. Yeah, while we were recording, you bought that game.
Yeah. So I got it.
Yeah.
I haven't had a whole lot of time to play it.
Mm-mm.
And it's a very big game.
It's. I've come to the conclusion it's probably too big.
Yeah, it's a very, very big game.
I would like it to be fractionally smaller.
I think about 15% smaller.
Yeah,
that seems
something like
right.
that.
Because I don't mind the length of it and like the size of it, but just maybe a little bit small. Because it's not like huge, like it's not a 100-hour game. It is 50, but like there's a bit of fat on it. That could have been
Yeah.
trimmed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've been doing all the side quests as they come because I haven't really given a game time to be able to do that recently.
Mhm.
But this time I'm like, okay, I really like this game so far, so I'm just gonna go through all of it.
Yeah. Didn't you just play through Kakarot and do all that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but to be fair, Kakarot was in January.
No,
Yeah.
and it only took him till like 2 months ago to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one, it'll be finished in like March.
Yeah. Well, hopefully sooner than that. I don't know. It just depends on how much time. I'm past part. I'm like halfway through part 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's about where I'm up to as well. And I just, like I said, I think a lot of the stuff that's in the bottom level of the map, I think is just, there's a little bit too much down there. I would prefer if there was a little less in the first act. And then the second and third act would probably be about the same size. But the first act is just, there's a lot you can do down there, and I feel a little bit.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
like I felt like the biggest chunk was in the first act.
Yeah.
Because it was a massive part of land.
Yeah.
I got really frustrated when I finally got to do this new thing, and one of the first missions I got in the second part was to go back to the first part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah, and like the size of the first area of the map is so big, like it's such a long way to get everywhere.
Yeah.
That I feel like I was learning that area of the map really well, and then just as I had learnt it all, they were like, "Now you're going to the second part." I'm like, well, great. Now I've got to learn a whole new area of the map, and I don't want to go back. Like I don't want to go backwards, but I'm also lost a lot more. So
Yeah.
it was weird. It was weird. I really like that game, but it's weird.
I've been trying to do all of the stories. I
Yeah.
love the stories.
Yeah.
I just got Dance of Wrath, I think it's called. That's what I got up to 2 nights ago. Where you get, it's like the special move where you can like kill 3 people at once.
Oh yes.
That's a very good move.
Yes, yeah. The legendary
used
stuff is great.
Yeah, I love that stuff. The boa armor, where you can like shoot bows better, was pretty fucking useless.
Yeah, the Tayadori armor or whatever that is. Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of the armors I
great.
just don't bother with.
Yeah.
There's one legendary armor I've gotten that I'm like, okay, cool, that's the one I stick with then, I guess.
Yeah. Like the only thing.
That one was that samurai. One of the samurai armors.
Yeah, one of them. It's the one that like increases your damage, and I think you get like a bonus on the standoffs. I think.
That's the ghost
Yeah.
armor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the
Oh,
Kai
no.
armor. That's the Kai
Yeah,
armor.
the Sakai armor. That's sorry. Yeah.
That's what I'm wearing at the moment. I
Yeah.
really like the look of. I can't remember the name of the armor, but it was the guy who saw a samurai die and then took his armor.
Yeah.
And then fought bandits.
Yeah. I know the
like
one you're
look
talking
of it.
about. Yeah.
I like the look of it. I really did, but the perks are shit.
Yeah.
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 I saw it,
Also,
I'm like,
I also want like, well, I guess because there's that new DLC coming out for it. I don't know if they're going to add more customization in that, but I really wanted more. Like it when I found the one like vendor that's like, oh yeah, now you can dye your armors black. I was like, well,
Yeah.
what? Why is he just a what? Okay. I just found it odd that there was just like, in order to get that particular thing, you had to find some random dude in a cave.
Yeah.
And then you
Okay.
get to dye your armors black. I'm like, why don't you just dye your armors? I mean, I guess it's like contextually within the era makes sense because black dye is difficult to make, I guess, but also
Yeah.
like, fuck it, it's a video
But,
game about customization, so just let me dye my armor whatever color I want.
Yeah, I haven't really liked the customization too much so far.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do anything with the armor to change it, really.
I feel like there's been a bit of short shrift on masks. Because like one of the
Yeah.
things is the mask that he wears.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like I've
There's only,
found like
4 of them.
3. Yeah, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
but
I
that's
would've
the thing I
preferred-
want. I want more of that.
Yeah.
I would have preferred if you could check, like, if the armor itself had 3 different pieces, like legs, and then like the robe, because a lot
Yeah.
of the samurai armor still has the robe,
Yeah.
and then the actual armor,
Yeah.
and then you had the helmet or the headband and the mask or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, if you could change those 3 pieces individually, I think you'd be able to do a lot more and make a lot more different things.
Yeah,
But
I think there's just this weird tension in the game of like it's trying to be historically accurate, but also trying to be like a video game ass video game.
Yeah.
And I think at times it picks the wrong one to do. So like with the first opening area of the map, it decides to be way more of a video game, and there's just so much to do. I'm like, just be the historically accurate, like make me do my thing in the first part.
Yeah.
Whereas the armor customization, it's like, no, we want to be accurate. Like, no, that's the thing where I should be able to dye my armor bright pink and not give a fuck. That's where you be the video game, and then the rest of it you can. That's fine. Like it was just, yeah.
But the armor design specifically have that be historically accurate,
Yeah.
and then the colors be whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
get
said,
that.
yeah, I think it's just occasionally it picks the wrong camp to be in, of historically accurate versus video game. But when it gets that synergy right, it's fucking excellent. Like the the cutscenes and the locations and the gorgeous vistas and all that kind of stuff. I've come to sort of a conclusion that I'll probably finish that game later on for a very specific reason, but I'll let you finish your stuff, Nathaniel.
I mean, like, I've just been really enjoying playing it. I think I'm just gonna keep playing it until I finish it. I got through like a quarter or maybe a third of Horizon before I started playing it because I just went, no, I want to play it. I really want to play it. I started playing Ghost, and I played a little bit of Fall Guys, but not too much.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I want to play Among Us, but I think I need a Discord chat.
Hi, Nina.
She's not here.
She just walked behind in the window.
Oh.
I could see her.
Yeah, like I also looked at Among Us and I'm like, it looks basic. I wonder if my computer can run it, and it can, like, with ease.
That game
like,
is ancient.
Like it's it's a 2018 game, but like, but still, like, my computer is old. But then that game is that's like a Flash game.
Yeah, it's so old they were making a sequel for it.
Yeah.
Like, they were about to release Among Us 2, and then Among Us became popular, so they're like, oh, I guess we'll pump the brakes on the sequel?
Yeah.
Super weird. What a weird game.
Yeah. Because, like, the way it happened, like Twitter just exploded, like, one weekend. I'm like, okay, a new game came out. This looks fun and memey. And then, like, I started hearing more about it. I'm like, wait, this is a fucking old game?
Yeah.
This is old as God of War?
Yeah.
What? Like... Yeah. And then I realized it was a mobile. I'm like, what? What is this game?
It's cross-play.
Bring it to
so
console.
Weird. It's such a weird thing. Anything else, Nathaniel?
Started watching The Boys on Amazon.
The Boys.
I haven't gotten through all of it. Well, I think we're like almost finished the first season. It's been pretty good.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Have you seen it?
No.
I would recommend it, for sure. It's one of the better originals, I think.
It's one of those things that everyone keeps saying, like, this is so good, and I'm like, is it good, or is it just, like...
edgy?
Yeah, and that's... Yeah, like, oh, it's just, you know, it's a... Because this is the superhero one, right? This is the one where...
Yeah.
They've got superpowers, but they're, like, fucking cunts, so...
Yeah, so basically the premise of the show is... the main character, I think he's only the main character for the first season, because the second season looks like another guy's going to be the main focus. But basically, and it's not a spoiler because it happens right at the start of the first episode, so I'll just explain it. He loves superheroes. He's a nerd. He works at an electronics store. I think we can all relate.
Yeah.
And he gets paid. He gets underpaid. Finds this girl. Falls in love with this girl. They haven't started dating yet, but they're like casual sort of thing. He starts to develop feelings for her. It's like they explain all of this. You don't know it for very long, and then they're on the street, and she's like, "Oh, you've got to man up and like talk to your boss about a raise." And then they start talking to each other and flirting, and then suddenly she just isn't there, and it slows down, and there's just blood and guts everywhere. A speedster had run into her.
Shit.
So basically, the Flash had run into her.
Yeah.
But his name is A-Train. And he stops and looks at the guy, and he's like, "I can't stop. I've got to keep going." So he just keeps running off. So then they go through this whole thing, and then A-Train's like, "I'll offer you 40 grand to not talk about this." And like they go through like this whole lawsuit thing, and he gets really depressed, and he's working in the electronics store again, and this guy walks in, and he's got this fucking accent that you can't pick, is it Australian or is it British? And the guy's got a really bad fucking accent.
Is it Carl Urban?
What that usually means is it's South African.
Yeah.
That's usually when you can't pick if it's Aussie or British. That means they're trying for South African, and they end up somewhere in the middle.
They I think he's supposed to be British in the show, but there's sometimes where I'm like, that's definitely not British. That's 100% Australian.
Yeah.
And he does a good job at either accent, but I don't think he can hold either accent.
For
Keeps
long,
on-
yeah. It's the accent work is hard. It is very
Yeah.
hard.
But he's a good actor, and it's a good show. He finds this guy. He says, "Oh, like, you want to get revenge on this guy? Like, superheroes are assholes. Trust me." He says he's a part of the FBI, and he's trying to take down the superheroes and all of that. So they do this whole like thing where he goes in to see A-Train to take the money and agree to his terms, but he goes to plant a bug in the boardroom where all the superheroes meet. It's basically like the Justice League Hall, the Hall of Justice. So he goes in there and he tries to plant a bug. There's an invisible guy that sees him. The invisible guy follows him back to the electronics shop. They beat the invisible guy up, and then the next couple of episodes are about them trying to kill this guy because he's invisible and he's got impenetrable skin. So they're like, we can't let him go because then we're just going to die. But we can't kill him because he's got impenetrable skin. So they have to find a way to kill him. And it gets really interesting.
Is that just like the Luke Cage thing where they just aim for the eye?
No, they put C4 up his ass.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is the thing that drives me. Like I've heard a lot of good things about The Boys, but also there's a part of me that's just like, isn't this just riding on the bandwagon of? There's a segment of society that seems to like hate the idea of the possibility of a superhero even existing right now. They don't like the idea of happy endings or good things.
Well, it's not really about that.
Like,
it's
is it just the
like,
anti-Disney train?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think it's a very good representation of if we actually did have superheroes in a world like we do.
Yeah.
Because it's very corporate. Like, each of the superheroes, they're owned by a corporation. The corporation's all about merchandise. They even changed one of the girls' superheroes' costumes because so many people have bought merchandise of this costume. Now we're going to get people to buy this version. Like, that sort of stuff happens a lot.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're trying to get like a deal with the military, and then there's a big thing that happens. They try to save a plane, but they fuck it up. So then they just pretend that like they were never there, and they let everyone die. Like, it's all about publicity instead of actually saving people. But some of the superheroes are like, oh no, like we've got to save them, and then there's the other superheroes that are just assholes. I think pretty much the only one that is a proper asshole is the guy that's basically Superman.
Yeah.
But because he's so powerful, if any of the other superheroes went against what he said, he just killed them.
Yeah, that would
So-
breed the arrogance that you would get from that kind of character. Fair enough. It's one of those things where I'm putting it on the maybe later list.
Yeah, I'll definitely recommend, if you want to give it a go, I'll give you my login details and have a look at it.
Is it Amazon, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely watched like the first couple episodes.
I got Amazon Prime to watch Godzilla King of Monsters, because, you know...
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's a lie. I got it because I thought some of the Fast and Furious movies were on there, and they're not. The ones that I wanted weren't on there at the time. But I just ended up using it to watch a bunch of monster movies. Because that's where I was at lockdown. So nice King Kong looks alright.
The guy from Hot Fuzz is in it.
Which one?
The guy.
Simon Pegg?
Yes.
The main guy,
the
yeah.
not that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Simon Pegg, yeah.
Not Nick Frost.
What's he doing in it?
He plays the main character's dad.
It's a British television show, isn't it? Like it's
it's American, but I'm pretty sure he works with Amazon Prime because it was also a part.
I just thought the whole thing was set in Britain. Like I thought.
It's all in America.
Oh, weird. Okay.
That's weird. Because Garth Ennis, the comic book creator, is British, like super British.
Yeah, I thought it was all set in London and like.
Nah, it's definitely America. They talk about CIA, FBI. And they always talk about how this guy has a British accent. So
I guess I kind of conflated this with Misfits.
Yeah.
Like that, it's along the same vein as Misfits because it's one of those things of like, the superheroes, but they're shitty. I'm like, yeah, we've done this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what they're leading up to, like, I understand where you would come from when you say like it sounds like anti-superhero, but I think what they're leading up to is like the people who are against the superheroes are the real heroes because they're trying to stop them from fucking shit up. And I'm pretty sure, like, I have no confirmation of this because I haven't seen any more, and I haven't been able to I don't even know if it's happened or if it will happen, but I think the main character has superpowers, but he doesn't know them yet. Like, know what they are yet.
Yeah, it sounds.
And
Yep.
one of the superheroes turns good and is on the other guy's team. So like, there are heroes that are good,
Yeah.
but there are also heroes that are bad.
Mm.
And it's all about corporate.
Again, I can't judge it because I haven't watched it, but it just seemed like it was a little bit less my shit than most people would think.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've been up to.
Yeah.
I watched a shit ton of anime. Yeah, I watched Seven Deadly Sins. We watched Lucifer.
The best anime.
I mean, Lucifer's anime is fuck, to be fair.
I can imagine. It's Neil Gaiman, so
it's anime as fuck.
But
a lot of anime betrayals in that show. A lot of anime betrayals.
that makes sense.
Yeah. But a fascinating, like Lucifer, the show, like the fascinating world and a brilliant idea that they've come up with there. Yeah. I haven't watched all of it. I've only ever seen it. Vanessa watches it, and she's watched all of it, and I just kind of slink in and out as I'm doing other things, and I've caught glimpses and episodes and just been like, man, this world is great. Like, the world they've built is really, really cool. The idea behind it and all that kind of stuff. But also there are those kind of tropes of like, what if the devil wasn't the bad guy?
Yeah.
We've done that before.
Yeah. I wrote that show off initially because, like, Lucifer is a character in the Sandman comics. Like, that's specifically who it is.
Yeah.
And that's what the property they're basing it on. And then when they announced it to be a cop procedural show, I'm like, I don't care about this.
It starts that way.
Yeah. And
it's just like Supernatural. It starts as a road trip and ends as a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Have you seen Hannibal?
No.
Okay. Hannibal starts as a cop procedural, but then just goes mental.
Supernatural's finally ended, by the way.
Like, ended?
Yeah, I believe their last season is about to air. Like, they've ended it.
Yeah.
Like, this will be it.
I knew, like, the actual, like, final season was coming up, but I didn't realize it was... Yeah.
I believe it airs, like, because it's September, so this is usually when the new shows start. I believe it will start airing, and this will be the final season.
Yeah.
To which I now have to live up to my promise of going back and actually re-watching that fucking thing, because I told myself I wouldn't keep watching it until it ended.
Oh no, you don't have to watch all of it. Just
Well,
watch
I
the
wanna
first
know
6 seasons or whatever.
I want to know how it ends.
Watch the final. Just
No,
watch the last season.
because I need the context, like, because I know the way that show structures itself now. So there will be a lot of things that happened in the seasons I haven't watched.
Okay.
That they, as much as I shit on Supernatural a lot, they do spend a lot of their time making sure that old things do tie back in. So I get the feeling that if I was to just watch the last couple of episodes, I'd be like, who the fuck, what the fuck, I don't understand. Because even the stuff from the seasons I thought was super bad, apparently they've been bringing back to kind of help tie everything together. So guess I'm going to have to go back and watch that now.
You gonna watch the Supernatural anime?
No. Fuck off.
What
I've
else
given
you
it
been-
enough chances.
What else have you been up to, Shannon?
Well, look, honestly, it's not been a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think about what I've been playing. I haven't really been playing much. I've been, like, mostly focusing on just, like, Ghost of Tsushima a little bit here and there. Going back and playing some old Final Fantasies just to kind of tide myself over. So I started watching all of that because I got the complete series of Pokemon for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
So I started going back and watching that, and we got through the Indigo League and the Orange Islands. So we're just about to start the Johto journeys, which is where I think the Pokemon anime gets good. So yeah,
Controversial statement.
well, I think the Orange Island, the Orange Islands, the final battle in that league against the head of the Orange crew, the like 2-episode battle he has, is where the anime starts to get better with what it actually. It's where they figure out what a Pokemon battle is.
Oh,
it's where it's that battle where they start to be like, okay, how does the Pokemon battle work in the anime world? Because up until then, Pokemon battles are kind of this nebulous thing, and it doesn't quite make sense. And like, a lot of the time Ash just wins by default, you know, because the Pokemon's laughing too much or just gives up or whatever. There's a lot of weird shit that happens in the first season where you're like, what do these moves do? What's happening here? There's a lot of they fuck up a lot in the first season of certain Pokemon getting affected by moves they normally wouldn't get affected by. There's a couple of times where a ground type Pokemon gets zapped by Pikachu and it works when that's not supposed to be the case. And stupid shit like aim for the horn and that's not gonna whatever.
Not Pokemon logic, yeah.
Yeah, like bad Pokemon logic. When they move into the Johto series, they start to kind of figure out what a Pokemon battle is and how it should act in the anime. And they also come up, I think it's where they come up with the idea of Ash Ketchum as a trainer. And they kind of harp on this, when they get later and deeper into the series, you start to hear other trainers kind of talk about, people that have been around Ash for a while, like Brock and Misty and all them. They start to talk about how the fact that, the thing that makes Ash special in the anime is that he's unorthodox. He does things differently than everyone else. Everyone else just kind of goes with, type combinations, train your Pokemon strong, evolve them, get them big, just brute force your way through it. But his thought processes and the way he thinks about Pokemon battle is so different to everyone else that it takes everyone else by surprise. And that's what makes him better. Not necessarily that he is the strongest trainer, but that he just thinks differently. And it's in the Johto series that I think you start to see that, of he just thinks a little bit outside the box. And that's what gets him over the line. Whereas in the first series, it is quite clear that they're just no, this kid sucks. He's the worst. And he's arrogant and shitty, and he's actually a really bad character in the first season. It sucks. It's hard to root for him because he's such a cunt. But when you get to Johto, he's humbled a little bit and starts to get a little bit better
because he didn't win the Pokemon League like his goal was. So
and he's also he goes through several losses quite rapidly in the Johto series, I think, and not just battles, but individual Pokemon that leave his party for whatever reason. So he goes through a little bit of having to do a rebuild, and I think where he actually becomes a better character overall is in the Hoenn League, which is the first time they do the thing of he decides to leave all his Pokemon behind and just start afresh. Except Pikachu. Start fresh, he's starting again. And then they pair him with a character who is starting fresh on their journey for the first time.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have the dynamic of Ash doesn't know what he's doing. You can actually have the other way around of Ash is actually the mentor. And it works much better. I mean, he's still a little bit arrogant, which is fine. Your anime protagonist can be arrogant to a certain degree. But he's less of a douchebag about it. And it's more about heart and determination as opposed to arrogance and self-confidence and all that kind of shit. But no, that's kind of what we've been trudging through. Honestly, in terms of this week, I am more focused on certain topics as opposed to what I've been doing, because what I've been doing is tracking a fucking shit show that happened over the last week in video games. So if you got stuff you want to talk about you doing, Keena, because I'm happy to just jump straight into topic time.
I've got one thing that I really want to talk about.
Go for it.
At least.
Go for it.
It's Hades, and it's
oh shit, yeah, I've been meaning to pick that up.
It's really good. Nathaniel, did you like Bastion?
I played it, but I didn't play all of it.
Okay. Hades feels I haven't played Transistor or Pyre, Supergiant's other games, because I'm I'll get to them sort of when I will get to them. But
I don't think you need to.
From that Gamescom trailer, it's I am sold. It's Greek mythology. The art style is cool, and then playing it, it just feels. It's one of the best playing games of the year. It's a roguelike, but it's one of the. It does a really good job of actually tying in people's I'm sorry. It starts. Why am I blanking on every single word? The roguelike is actually part of the story, as opposed to other things where it's just oh, you're just dying and whatever. You just try again, different random build or whatever. But this is actually no, you're Zagreus and you're trying to escape the underworld, and when you die, people know. People cool. You died, you came back. There's this character named Hypnos who had a list of how people died and what killed them. And he gives you tips, just oh, like the giant bull hit you with a hammer. Have you tried not being hit by a hammer? Like comedic stuff like that.
Good. Good.
All the characters in it are really good as well. Like from Hades to, like Zagreus himself to like the first boss, who's Megara, one of the Furies. And she, because she's the first boss, she's like very arrogant. But as you beat her more and more, you can just see her. She's just not in it for the job anymore, to kill you. And they play with that. Like she talks to this other character named Dusa, which is just a Medusa head. It's just a Medusa head, but she's very cute and like she's the house cleaner. And like they have like Meg and Dusa just have these conversations about like, yeah, maybe you should quit. Like I'm like, my boss is Hades, I can't quit. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the gameplay is it's responsive, and it's one way I heard it put is that it does exactly what you want it to do at all times. There can be, I've gotten to stages where like there are like 15 enemies on screens, they're all shooting me. I've got like so many power-ups, like when I dash, Zoot's lightning bolt comes down, I'm throwing my shield around like Captain America, it's bouncing all over the place, I'm whacking people, like there's so much going on. And I can actually lose track of everything, but because I've got the muscle memory down, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I win. Like, and that feels great to get out of those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I am considering it like in my like top, like what is it in my top game of the year list? I think it's up there with Final Fantasy VII. I think because like I have not stopped. Like the only reason I've stopped playing this game is I have to go do other things in my life.
Okay, right, fair enough.
And that's it. Like I'm on the train, I'm playing this game. I'm just like in the dark staring at my TV because I haven't gotten up to eat or like turn on the light even. It's good, and I finally finished the first run yesterday, and that felt good. It was hard, but it felt good, and that's not the end of the story. Like there's more to do after you beat the game once. And
so the roguelike element comes into the story as well in that way, correct?
Yeah.
Like it gets okay. Because that's the only thing that put me on a bit of a hesitation about it, is that roguelikes are not my favorite type of game. In fact, I tend to find them hot take, I tend to find them lazy, because in my mind they do this thing of like you die and you do the same thing over and over and over and over again until you get better at it. But in my mind, all that means is like, well, you made one set of assets, I guess, and then you're just making me play the same set of assets over and over and over and over again. Whereas like, well, that never appeals to me. The idea of like, I just got to restart and I've got to get better at this thing and over and over and over again. I'm like, well, okay, sure, I can see how other people may find that appealing in terms of I'm getting better at a thing. I just don't find that appealing at all. I don't like the fact that a lot of roguelikes also use a random element where it's like, yes, you could get better at this thing, but if you don't pick up the right item at the right time, fuck you anyway. I'm like, okay, well then what's the point of you then? Like if you you need to pick one, either be a roguelike where I'm getting better in skill base, or be a random piece of shit. Like, to pick one.
And that's the thing about Hades, is that like it never feels like that. Like you can have any number of build out, but as long as you're like picking what your strategies are, like you can pick how good you're going to be. Like you've got doors you can go down, and one can be like health or an Athena boon, and Athena's mainly focused on deflecting.
Right.
So your dash can start deflecting, which is great. Or there can be. There's also boons that you have, which are like your permanent like thing that you can take across the run. Like there's a tooth from Skelly, which is probably my favorite character. He's just like this skeleton that just stands there, and you just kill him, and you're like, and then he dies and reforms. Like that's his job. That's all he does, and he's a great character.
Yep.
He's like his keepsake gives you one extra life.
Oh, okay.
So and you build that up, and it gets better.
Cool.
So yeah, a keepsake. So like you can force an Athena keepsake, or you can force a Zeus one, and they will like give you the kind of boons that you want. And then you can turn it off, switch to another one when you get to like the next room, like provided you have that upgrade.
Yeah.
Like it's all systems that build on top of each other, and they slowly introduce it in a good way.
I mean, the game sounds fascinating. Like, I really want to give it a shot, just because everyone
Yeah.
seems to be all over that thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
it
don't know.
runs like, for the most part, it runs really well. I've been playing it on Switch. It's just when those rooms
okay.
become overloaded, it then starts chugging.
Okay.
But then that kind of gives you the thing of like, okay, there's so much.
It's
going
on.
I can actually...
It's on Epic and
PC as well.
Steam as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I
And
might.
cross save is coming soon. They wanted to get it at launch, but they just couldn't for whatever reason. So they're like,
well.
cool, we'll delay that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I had a better computer, I would hook up my like PlayStation controller and be playing it like in much better resolution than what the Switch can do.
Thinking maybe I'll throw the Xbox controller on this thing and see
Yeah.
how it goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds really cool.
It's really good. I really recommend it, and I'm such a Greek mythology nerd to begin with, so like the fact that it's all there and just all these cool tidbits and the characters actually build into that, I'm like, good. I love this. Maybe second best game of the year.
Okay. Bold statements. Bold statements.
Bold
here.
statement. Not the best. I don't know what.
Maybe
that
the
is.
second best. Right.
Second best at the very least. Alrighty, now to get into the big news. Which big news did you want to talk about first, Shannon? I think I know what it is.
See, here's the thing: is that it's not like there's one or like it's not like there's like, oh, these are the big stories. The stories all run into each other. In my opinion, they all kind of like, this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened.
You want to start at the start then?
Yeah, because there's been like a big week. Let's start at the start.
Yeah.
Yoda at PS5.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that this week?
That was last week. It was last week Friday.
Good.
So like it was like a week ago yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I managed to get one.
I did too. Only because, like you said, they're up, and I'm like, cool, bam, boom, done. Like,
Yeah.
I literally blacked out just putting in my credit card information. Just like, boom, thanks Google
It
Chrome.
was a fucking shit show, man.
After
So-
that, and then like, yeah, after that, I'm like, cool, I got it. And then like watching Twitter burn down in the subsequent hours, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. So the thing that happened was the PlayStation showcase where they showed off a bunch of games that will be coming out as well. And that kicked off with my thing that made me go, well, then I have to get a PS5, which was Final Fantasy 16. That was revealed.
16. The
16th.
16th Final Fantasy.
And no, you don't have to play the other 15. Fuck off. That joke is dead.
I know. What do you think of this? My biggest takeaway from it is that it doesn't look great, like from a graphical standpoint.
Yeah, but neither did Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
I think 7 Remake looks astounding.
No, but it didn't at the start.
Oh, that first like
Yeah,
2015.
there are a lot of bye Nathaniel.
Bye.
I don't know whether he's gone permanently from this because he's just not.
It looks like he's manually muted himself.
Okay,
so.
cool. So its very first reveal when they did their gameplay demo stuff didn't look that great. There are comparison videos out there online right now.
Yeah.
Where they show what Final Fantasy VII looked like when they revealed it versus what it looked like when it came out, and the contrast is quite stark. Like it's you give them a couple of years with it, they'll be fine. Also, the opening slate said that it was running on a PC that was emulating the PS5, which says to me, alpha at best.
Yeah.
Is what this thing is. Well, we're probably waiting at least 2 or 3 years for this thing.
I think maximum 2 years because this game is far along. Like is.
I mean, I only say 2 to 3 because I know who's directing it. What's his name? Yoshi.
The guy producing it is the Final Fantasy 14 director.
Yeah, he's the guy who saved Final Fantasy 14, and he seems to be the only one currently at Square Enix that knows how to like fucking get a train on the tracks and make it work. He seems to be.
And the
able
fact
to...
that like he's producing it, but like someone else is directing it, so like that gives me hope that like it's not an Amora situation where he had Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 going on and like stressing out over both. It's a producer role, which just means whatever that means, and then but someone else. What that means is that hopefully someone else in this company can actually have a leg to stand on, become that celebrity status in the company.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, about how my hope was that guy was the person to take on the reins of the next mainline Final Fantasy, because he just seems to have a knack of being able to take something and just be like, this is what it needs to be. Do that fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then, like, it just gets done.
Yeah.
As opposed to Nomura, who just kind of sits in his mood room for 4 years before you get anything done.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I say 2. If it wasn't for him, I would say this thing would be coming out in 5 years. In fact, I would say this thing's probably going to come out around the PS6 if it wasn't for him. But I'm confident we'll see it within the next 2 to 3. The only reason I am not nailing it down as like 2 years from now is because you never know what's going to happen, and coronavirus has fucked everything. So it could just be a delay because of like technical reasons or whatever. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the way it looks. I'm very interested in what it's doing.
Yeah.
For Final Fantasy as a whole, going back to the old medieval style of fantasy.
And it's the medieval, like, as people like say, it's like, oh, it's like Final Fantasy 9 or 12. I'm like, no, those had some like modern elements to it. Like,
no, this is straight up like this is
1 to 5.
Yeah, this is like early Final Fantasy. This is going back. But also, I think it's interesting that, like, you know, we talked before the podcast about how like it's crystals and cycles, and that's always been the Final Fantasy thing. But I don't think they've ever really pitched towards the end of that trailer. You have that thing of like the history of the crystal, like the crystals have like shaped our history for long enough.
Yeah.
Which very much says to me that if you're putting that phrasing into your trailer, very much says to me that this might be some sort of, they might be leading down a way of like maybe deconstructing Final Fantasy and reconstructing it.
Maybe.
That, you know, the idea of the crystals and the idea of what Final Fantasy is as a whole has been a certain way for a very long time, and this is the one where that changes again. Because I think the problem, I'm hoping what they're trying to do is address the problem that has been in the Final Fantasy community for a while, which is you have a very, very hard divide between the two sides of the Final Fantasy fandom, which is the ones who like the old stuff, basically like 6 and before, and they want that, and then people who are like, I like the 7, 8, 9, 10 era, and anything post 10 is garbage. So there are kind of like 3 sectors there then. Anything post 6 is garbage, anything post 10 is garbage, and then there are people who are just like, I don't know, I like Final Fantasy.
I like Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah. I'm super into tactics.
That's valid, though.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are only into tactics, which is fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm hoping is that they use this opportunity to kind of break whatever Final Fantasy is right now and rebuild it. Because looking at that fucking combat, Jesus Christ.
It looks great. Like, it looks like
just straight up action.
It looks Dark Soulsy and DMC. Like, it's a Street Fighter DMC battle director on it. So
looks fucking good. Looks really good.
We could talk about forever for this, but let's move on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what else was announced in that fucking...
Announced?
I think it was announced.
God of War?
There's a God of War sequel. God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. That's hype. I'm ready. Like,
I'm cool with that.
That Harry Potter game finally announced officially.
Yeah, that seemed alright.
Yeah. That's not a great time to come out with that game announcement, but we all know that it's been existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when your property writer is shitty? What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Not pay her royalties.
I mean, they've set it in a timeline that allows them to be completely devoid of anything that she's created.
Yeah.
Because it is set in the 1800s.
Yeah,
so it's so far before anything she's actually ever touched. That you can kind of like create your own narrative, but also because it's set so far back, you kind of have to make sure that you don't fuck too much with the timeline.
Yeah,
because you don't want to have that game end up in a position where people go, well, if this happened, then why the fuck did this and this and this happen later on down the line? So you don't want people fucking with your fantastic.
Do you think it's going to be like
bits.
canon, or do you think it's going to be like the Shadow of Mordor games, which are they take place in the timeline, but they're not canon? Like,
I think if you're Warner Brothers and smart, you'll use it as a way of doing canon to try and retcon some of the bullshit J.K. Rowling's been saying lately.
Yeah.
Try and basically retcon her story to make it better. If you're smart. If you're not, you just make... If you're not smart, you just completely ignore the problem that you have with J.K. Rowling as a person. If you are indifferent in a corporation, which is most likely, it's probably just going to be a Mordor thing where it's like, this is like an alternate time dimension line thingy.
Whatever thing, yeah.
This
Harry
I
Potter.
think.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if I was the developers, I would just straight up like just make a trans character in that game just to say fuck you, and like write them well.
Yeah. I mean, this is the problem with game development as a whole, though, is that the people no trans characters in your game. Like, okay, cool. Let's say you wanted to put one in there. Let's do that. Now, a year out from release, like it's very soon, isn't it? It's next year, I believe.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so you got to design the assets, which, to be fair, that's not going to be difficult. You design the assets. I guess you could.
I'm not saying like a full-on character, like just an NPC that you can like whip.
Yeah,
up,
but that's the thing, is that you don't want it to be a token character, because that's not going to appease anyone. That's going to make everyone angry again. Like the amount of time I've heard people being like, "Well, you can't like." We're sick of tokenization. I'm like, all right, cool. So let's not do that, because that's a valid criticism as well. Let's put an actual, honest-to-goodness character in there. In the time that you've got, if it's not already in the game, that's not enough time to draft, script, rescript, come up with an actual backstory, come up with an actual personality, get your voice acting down, or whatever you've got to do, your dialogue, all that kind of stuff, and put that into a game and have it be valid and good.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is that it's never about, we just want a trans character in there. That's not the problem, because you could do that at any point.
Yeah.
We want good trans characters, good LGBT characters. And so just to throw one in there just as a fuck you to J.K. Rowling, I don't know. If you're gonna put it in there, if you're gonna put it in there, make it good. Don't make it just a token gesture or a fuck you. Make it good. That is more of a fuck you to her than just shoving one in there. Make a good trans character that everyone can relate to, and that everyone can say like, "Fuck, that person's great." That's the way to fuck her over. Do it in a DLC or something. Like, put some time and effort into it. I think the better way of being able to do this, honestly, the thing that seems to have already been in the trailer somewhat, is that like, hey, guess what? Seems like there's a character creator can have a black wizard. That's not a thing in the Harry Potter movies. Not that I've seen, at least. Like,
there's like one.
Oh, great. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like, yeah. Oh, there's one. Yeah, sure. Like, okay, he's one.
What was his name again?
Fuck if I know. Fuck if anyone knows.
He was only really in the first like movie or so. There's also like the second like African
He's as
or something.
Background as a background character could possibly be.
That's the point, yeah.
Yeah, and so like you can make your wizard a character of color, and because they are your character, they will be front and center in the story. There's progress. There you go. But also that game looks, for a PS5 and Xbox Series X game, looks a bit clunky there.
It is cross-gen.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
Yeah, but like Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be cross-gen.
You're right.
Fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to be cross-gen. Call of Duty is going to be cross-gen. Like, and that thing has been in the works for what, 4 or 5 years? Like, there's kind of no excuse for.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's and that's the thing, is that like you can get away with lesser visuals when you're stylizing it, but this isn't like, it's stylized, but it's Harry Potter. Like, we know what that's supposed to look like because we've seen it on the big screen. So when you fuck with it too much, anyway, before we get too much in the weeds there, then what happened after that was that they said like, oh, we've done this big showcase and God of War Ragnarok, isn't that cool? And then they said we're gonna do pre-orders tomorrow, and then they did it that day, like 10 minutes later. That was crazy. So it was 8 o'clock our time here in the morning. They just pre-orders went live across the country. I think it took a couple of hours to sell out. Like, it wasn't instant. It took a while.
No. Yeah.
And I think that was due to the fact that no one knew it was happening.
Exactly.
Like, I think it was just as people were messaging each other and going, "Hey, did you see it's on? Did you see it's on?" People were slowly starting to build that traction, and over the hour and a half, 2 hours after the announcement, we sold out. Everyone sold out.
And it looked like, what was I gonna say?
Because I couldn't remember the guy's name. So there's 5 people African descent in Harry Potter.
5. Wow.
Across.
Two people that are Indian, but they were only the girls that asked Harry and Ron to dance in Goblet of Fire. And then only Cho Chang as the only Asian person. The chick that Harry had a thing for in Goblet of Fire. That's it.
Diversity.
It looks like Goblet of Fire was the most diverse one. Yeah, because they had to. Because
That's all. I mean, I'm just gonna put this out there. That's also the one where the cast is like at its ugliest. Like, because that's their awkward teenage one. Because like before that they're still children, and after that they're like basically adults. But Goblet of Fire is right when you get to see all of the main characters at puberty. Goblet of Fire is fascinating as a concept, as a movie concept of like, oh, we've got the same actors from when they were children, and now they're in their weird awkward teen years, and they look like It's weird when you've got the older characters like Hagrid and all them, and they don't look like they've aged at all.
No.
But the kids have very much aged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone just has so much hair in that movie.
Oh, so much hair. Because they're all angsty teens. Like, so much hair.
Just,
ugh, man. I mean, I don't want to talk, but, you know, a lot of hair.
It was flowing. Like, it was like, just, like,
yeah.
They could have done, like,
it was a lot of, like,
ads.
the, you know, like, it wasn't like mine where I'm actually, like, it's grown long. It was like, it's that, okay, so I went to a private school, so I kind of, like, this speaks to me a lot. It's the, I'm not getting a haircut because the school says I have to get a haircut. And that's my rebellion, is that the school says I have to have a haircut at a number 4 or shorter. And I'm like, fuck you, establishment. I'm a 14-year-old with a cause. Fucking dumb. Because you can tell they all went to private schools, so...
Yeah.
That was their rebellion. Like, I can imagine Emma Watson probably got, like, the tiniest tattoo on her wrist, because that was, you know, edgy.
Yeah.
And, you know, what's his face? What's the guy who plays Ron Weasley?
Rupert Grint?
Yeah, that guy. He didn't get a tattoo because he was too wimpy to get one.
Yeah.
But he got one of those temporary tattoos. Because he's badass. So yeah, that clusterfuck happened, and then all eyes were on Xbox for their launch, because they didn't drop a surprise round. They gave a date and time.
Like a month early, 3 weeks early.
We've known for about 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
That 22nd of September at 8 a.m. was going to be when Xbox would drop their pre-orders. And that was. I don't. It was different in time regions. Like some places it was 8 a.m. Some places it was like midday. It was a bit weird. I know it was.
It looked like it was kind of 8 a.m. 22nd every local time.
Yeah,
because, like,
I think
because like America still had to like there was. I knew the pre-orders went out, but like America was still talking about like one more day. I'm like, oh,
I think
okay,
so, but I think some European countries might have got it different.
Okay.
But I think like, again, I think it was depending on region, and it might have been up to the retailers when that actually went live.
Yeah.
So 22nd that went live. That seemed to be, depending on who you were, better or worse. I don't know, because like some people said that that when they went to try and order an Xbox, everything just crashed.
Yeah.
Which to me makes sense, because no one knew the PlayStation thing was happening, so they were hitting it at random sporadic times. Whereas everyone knew 8 o'clock or whatever time in your local area on this day, that's when you can order an Xbox. So everyone jumps on at 7:50, gets all their shit set up, and as soon as it hits 8 o'clock, boom, they're on the website. And all of a sudden you have millions of people smacking into your servers all at once. Makes sense to me as to why those things crashed. But also there were a lot of people who reported that they just got an Xbox. No problem. Easy. Done. So I don't know what the dealio is there. All I know is it seems that unlike the previous generation, both Xbox and PlayStation have sold out of their launch shipment. It is my understanding that the previous generation Xbox very much had consoles to spare when they went for their launch.
For sure.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, no, do you sure you don't want an Xbox? And everyone was like, yeah, we're sure we don't want an Xbox, dude. But PlayStation was very much sold out on the PS4 before it launched. And it appears they have gone that route again. My understanding is currently when it comes to PS5, they cannot guarantee any shipment past March, I believe, is currently the word that I'm seeing around the place.
What does that mean? Like,
basically, they have, from what I understand, there are 3 waves of shipments. There is the launch shipment, there is a post-launch shipment, and then there is a 2021 shipment that is currently in the works around the globe.
Yeah.
The obviously launch shipment, launch day. The post-launch shipment is supposedly coming before the end of the year. But
I imagine like December, like right in time for Christmas.
I would expect so, but those are apparently also sold out across the board. So you won't be able to walk in December and go, I want a PS5, please. That ain't gonna happen.
No.
And then there's another shipment that will be coming to retailers in 2021, and from my understanding, what I've been reading, that is also sold out. And that is supposed to hit, and this would make sense because of the fiscal year for Sony, it was supposed to hit before March.
Yeah.
Because they want to get that last bit of money in before the end of their financial reporting. Past that, there is no known date as to when next shipments will be coming after that. Like, we don't know. So if you didn't secure a PS5 in one of those 3 windows, who knows when you'll be able to get one. Now, look, a lot of people are going to put on a lot of gloom and doom on that. I just don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I think it'll be pretty quick once they start figuring out what's going on. Like, once they refigure out supply chains and all that kind of stuff, and they've diverted all of their manufacturing to the PS5 console and the Xbox Series X and S, it'll probably sort itself out by holiday next year. That's probably when you'll be able to get one. That's probably when you'll be able to walk in and be like, I'd like a PS5. Yes, sir, here we go. As opposed to having to pre-order it. But as it stands, it looks like most people won't receive... If you didn't pre-order one, you probably won't get one before June.
Yeah.
Which...
and, like,
crazy.
by the time, like, that comes around, like, there'll be more games for it. Like, you'll be able to get, like, especially next year, like, the Black Friday deals on it, where it's actually, like...
Maybe.
About $100 off. Like...
Maybe. Oh, we didn't talk price. Fucking expensive as shit over here.
Yeah.
Being in Australia sucks. $749 for both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
For the big versions.
For the big versions.
And it makes sense. Like actually converting like $500, it's $750 here, thereabouts.
Yeah,
like,
I wanted to say to people. I actually wanted to mention this, that if people are like $750, it's a rip-off. It's only $500 US. If you convert US dollars into Australian currency, it's about 680, I believe, 500 to that. And what
on any given Sunday sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. I mean, obviously there's different things there, but at the time, I believe if you converted it, it was about around 680. It was like $683, give or take. And then what people always forget is that US prices don't have tax. You have to pay sales tax after the fact. Yep. When you include a 10% GST, that's give or take $70, which means $750 is smack bang on a direct conversion.
Yeah.
Like, and that's shitty, and if you're shitty about that, and if you don't like that fact, vote. Because it's not Sony's fault that our economy sucks.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that out there. Not Sony's fault, not Xbox's fault. Our economy is currently in the tank. And we've had the same government for 7 years, so...
Whose fault is it?
I wonder.
No, because that's what I was like actually like cross-examining that the other day. Just like I paid $550 for my PS4.
Yeah.
And that came with the game and an extra controller and the camera.
Yeah.
And US that was $399.
Yeah.
And that was the fine currency exchange at that point. And I'm like, that's an extra $150 for the deluxe edition, essentially. This is $250 on
the base.
This, and I'm just getting just the physical edition plus one controller.
Yeah, and the answer as to why that's happened is because our economy has stagnated over the last 7 years, and it sucks. I don't want to get too political, but that's just the long and short of it. It's the truth of it. And that's why our shit is more expensive. I mean, but it's not even 7 years. It's literally the last like 2, because the Xbox One X came out at
$550.
$499. No, $650.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it was $499 in the US, which is the same price as the Xbox Series X is releasing now. And 2 years ago, that converted to $650 Australian. It has gone up $100 in like 2 years. So if you want like you can actually use Xbox consoles to chart the economic decline of Australia. Apparently, fucking trash.
Ever
fire.
since they introduced links, it's all been down there. Xbox links.
Anyway, that all happened.
Did you get an Xbox?
No, fuck no.
Yeah. I'm not. I really was going to, but then I actually like looked at my budget and I'm like, I will not have money for Christmas gifts if I also get an Xbox. So
here was the
wait on
logic at
that.
the time. The logic at the time was Final Fantasy 16 is coming to console exclusive to the PS5.
Yeah.
It's going to be on PC, but I want it on the PS5 because that's
Yeah.
how I like to play Final Fantasies on. Even though I'm going to end up playing this new PC I have, I'm going to end up playing a Final Fantasy on here because I want to see what it looks like.
15.
I was going to play either 15 or 13 because I think 13 might look pretty mint on this thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the logic at the time was Final Fantasy 16 is coming to the PS5. God of War will be on the PS5. Horizon Forbidden West will be on the PS5.
And PS4?
And PS4. It's neither here nor there to look better. And the other thing was the PS5 has backwards compatibility with the PS4, majoritively. And as I was saying before, I think I'm just going to put Ghost of Tsushima into my PS5 when I get it and just finish it there, because I'm pretty sure my PS4 is going to explode. It's getting pretty close. When it's playing Ghosts, man oh man is it struggling. And I'd rather trade that in than let it blow up. So I'm just going to play like low, and I'm just playing like Jack and Daxter for the rest of like this year until the PS5 comes out, and then I'll put that in.
Nathaniel, what do you think of this whole like pre-order situation, and what did you have any goals with this?
Well, I'm just going to treat this the same way that I treated the PS4 and the Xbox One launch. Like, back in the day when it happened, I wanted everything so badly. I wanted all of it, but it really didn't affect me that much because all the games still came out on both consoles. My consoles worked fine. I've got a PlayStation 4 Pro. I've got a Xbox One, but I don't really use it. And if I do use this for either Anime Lab or Xbox Games Pass, but I've got Games Pass on
PC. Yep.
So I mean, like, look, there's going to be one variable. Like, there's one thing that determines whether I get an Xbox Series X or not, and that is if Fable, whatever it is, comes out on PC or not.
I can say with 98% assurance that that's going to come to PC same day as
I'm going to say
Xbox.
99 because they'll do smart delivery on that because it's a first-party Xbox title, so you'll have the ability to play it on PC.
So if I can get it on PC,
and it'll be on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like,
it'll be on Games Pass.
legitimately just spend the money to get a better PC and not even worry about either of the consoles.
That's valid. Like,
you could get a 3080. Oh wait,
did they sell out or?
they sold out in like 20 seconds because of
Really?
bots, man. Bots went crazy on the 3080.
But did they go crazy on the 3090s? If they're available, get a 3090.
They went crazy on the 30 series. I don't think you can get one. Like, I'm pretty sure every single website sold out on the 30 series cards. They're fucked.
I watched the stream for the 30 series, and I'm like, maybe I upgrade, but I'm like, I don't want to pay that much. like, the best thing. Did you watch that Nvidia stream?
No, I didn't.
I was watching the kind of funny reacts after the fact, and because they kept pulling the graphics card from different places. Like the one was like under the bench from where it was like, oh,
I saw that stuff. Yeah.
And then the 3070, the 3080 was behind like a set of spatulas.
Yeah.
And like, and then someone in the chat's like, I swear, if they fucking pull something out of the oven, I'm gonna lose my shit. And he's like, we got one more thing to show you, and he goes into the oven, pulls it out, and the whole fucking crew just goes mental.
Yeah, it was.
This fucking the 3090 is huge, like it's an aircon unit. Like,
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's,
Hey! Oh, he's getting his.
oh fuck.
Oh. Better than Uber Eats. Fucking to the computer delivery. Did you pay extra for that? Anyway, I was gonna say, the thing that was pushing me to the PS5 was the exclusives. And then, fucking out of nowhere, Microsoft bought Bethesda.
Yeah.
Just straight up bought it. Well, they
didn't buy Bethesda.
They bought ZeniMax.
ZeniMax. The whole fucking kit.
The whole kit and caboodle. Yeah, everything. They own all of it. All of it.
Fucking insane. Did you see? Okay, I want to get into like the actual background stuff first. The one reason they might have been buying it was for their Bethesda's streaming network that they announced last year. Apparently, the tech behind it is better than xCloud, and like using like Azure plus that stuff should make for better. Like it can run Doom at 4K 60, whereas like xCloud can only do like 720p 60 at most.
Yeah, but wasn't that the reason? So there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
And we're probably not going to be able to unpack it all anyway, because at some point I actually have to leave and continue with my life. But
that sucks.
But there's a couple of things here. A, if that was the case, then why did they do that deal with Sony? Because they were working together on the Azure cloud stuff.
I think Sony's partnering with them, and Microsoft's like, okay.
Yeah, but there was
like
still
a Sony Microsoft thing. That's
yeah, exactly, but the thing is, Microsoft purchased ZeniMax.
Yeah.
And then the whole Xbox and Bethesda thing is actually just a side effect of this, because that was the thing that actually kind of bugged me about this story, was everyone's like, oh my god, they bought Bethesda. Like, no. The parent company, Microsoft, bought the parent company, ZeniMax. Yeah. And it just happens to be that in this, conglomeration of two mega corporations, you ended up with these two tiny subdivisions of Bethesda and Xbox Games, studios colliding together and be like, well, I'll bet you what ended up happening in that boardroom meeting was that someone went, oh, did you notice we just bought Bethesda? And someone went, oh, really? Fucking, we bought Bethesda too, eh? Oh, I didn't even notice. Like, they didn't even occur to them.
What do you think the primary motivation for it if it wasn't to buy the game studios? Like,
because ZeniMax is a giant media corporation. Like, they have their hands in a bunch of things, not just Bethesda.
As far as I knew, like, it was primarily Bethesda, but like, I didn't think they did all that much else.
Well, see, and this is actually the other thing that annoys me about this story. I think there's been a lot of, oh shit, yeah, Sony's gonna be scared now because guess what? We got exclusives on Xbox, Bethesda, and that flies in the face of everything Phil Spencer has been saying for the last 4 or 5 years.
Kind of. Like,
not kind of, man. It's a direct, it's a pivot. It is a complete pivot on, we don't care, man. You play games wherever you want. You play it on a PlayStation. We just want people to play games, man. That's what we're about. Just play games. It doesn't matter what games, as long as they're games. And then you go up and buy the studio that makes Fallout, Skyrim, and the new Starfield game. You buy Doom. You buy Doom. Wolfenstein. You buy everything that those, id, Arcane, all of that shit. You buy that. Elder Scrolls Online, and you then say, "Oh, we'll look at console releases on a case by case basis." That's the quote. Fuck off! You don't give a shit. You never did. It makes me go, because here's the other thing that kind of worries me about this. You look at what Xbox had been doing for so long. When the Xbox One came out, and how everyone was worried about, oh no, it's going to be an all-digital console. You're not going to have your games anymore. And how long Phil Spencer spent rebuilding Xbox's image is like, oh no, we care about gamers. The first Xbox post, the first generation split post Phil Spencer's era, they have an all-digital version of the console. That was the fear in 2013.
Yeah, but like
The Xbox Series S is the manifestation of everyone's fear in 2013. It is exactly what everyone was afraid of. And it's here, and we just accepted it. Then he goes on the tirade of like, not tirade, but like he goes on this path of like, we don't care about where you play games as long as you play games. And then they buy up a studio like Bethesda and hint that possibly games like Fallout and that could become exclusive to the Xbox. And that's a pivot. And it just worries me about what else he's been saying over the last 7 years that they'll just pivot on and that'll be the end of it.
Well, he was probably like, if you look at it, just like how a company was trying to do something, especially with xCloud and Games Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't worked. They have lost sales. They've lost shit tons of money. No one wants Xbox, right?
Games Pass it's successful.
Bro,
Games Pass is successful, but the Xbox platform is not.
So they're probably looking at this and going, all right, this isn't working.
Yeah.
What are people always arguing PlayStation is better with when it comes to its exclusives? So obviously they're going to go back on their word. Like, I would.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I agree with you. I understand why the move was made. It's a business move, it's cold, and it's absolutely 100% the right thing to do.
They released an all-digital console.
Yeah, but Sony never makes any bones about what they are. They've always been a cold-hearted company. They're always like, fuck you. That's what they've been doing for years. Like, they were the ones who were dragging their feet on cross-platform play. Like, they've always been a douchebag mega corporation. But Microsoft has been playing the, oh no, we're for gamers. We're for you guys. And then they turn around and do this. And like I said, I'm not, like, it makes sense. Bethesda and Microsoft as a partnership makes sense. The thing that worries me about it is what else has Xbox been saying over the last 7 years that they could just pivot on straight away and people will accept because Phil Spencer's a lovely guy and he's a good face to have on this. I had one in my head, but also
that like everything that they've been saying is being backed up. Like the Play Anywhere, they haven't really been releasing games on Xbox. It's the stuff like Outer Worlds, which they just had to fill their contract with 2K. Like they've all the Xbox stuff. Like it's Play Anywhere through the power of xCloud and Games Pass. If you've got a PC, you've got a phone. If PlayStation allowed it, I'm sure they would put it on PlayStation. They want people to sign up to Games Pass, and now buying Bethesda and all the other companies that they've been buying up. It's the equivalent of like, we are now going to have a fuckload of Game Pass originals.
Yeah. No, and I agree. Like again, I think the point I'm trying to get at is not that it's a bad thing. It's not what I'm getting at. And but I think that the messaging that they have been doing over the last several years has allowed them to do this without people completely flying off the handle. Because I think if they had did this 4 years ago, people would be calling it the apocalypse. But because they've had so much time messaging and saying, we're for you, we're not going to do like crazy evil corporation stuff, we're for gamers, we want you to be able to play a game wherever you want.
Yeah. And
whatever games you want. That has allowed them to do this and kind of lull people into just accepting this as an option. The other... go.
The digital only one, like, that whole argument back in whatever the fucking year... 2013. When they were saying that the Xbox One was going to be all digital, they didn't ever give an option to have disc at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, they're releasing both, so it's not really that. That's why people aren't upset.
No, but the thing is,
it's been 7 years and internet has improved. Like,
it has
been all digital consoles, like the SAD edition. Like,
but that's the thing is that like all they did was take what they wanted to do back then and just do it over a longer period of time. That's all it is, and people are okay with it because it just took longer to do. But the thing is, internet has not improved. That is like objectively the case for most of the Western world. Like Europe sure is an exception But like in America, the average speed over there is worse than it was because people in rural areas still don't have access. I mean, you watch a Friendly Geordie's video and you'll find out how bad our internet is compared to the globe. Like it sucks. So it's not that the internet's gotten better. It's just that we're used to shitty internet for longer now. And the other thing I think is really bad about it, honestly, is that like the digital version is the cheaper version of the console. So there's something really insidious.
Not insidious, mate. It's about making money. You don't have to buy games at the retailers anymore. 100% of the money goes to them.
It's super
exactly
insidious.
What it is.
It's super insidious though, because not only is the digital version of the Xbox the cheaper version, it's also got a smaller hard drive.
Oh yeah, that
it's half the size, and also the storage prices came out today, or like a couple days ago, for like $250 for the proprietary external hard drive. So to get the extra storage just to have enough space to save the games on the goddamn thing, it's going to end up costing you the price of the Series X. So at that point, why not just buy the Series X?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? They're forcing poor people into this decision of like, well, I can't afford a Series X, so I'll get a Series S. Oh no, my internet. Well, I guess I need more storage. Oh, guess what? It's going to cost me this much anyway. Like, it's really shitty. The more affordable version is not that much more affordable. At least the PlayStation thing is, the two consoles are identical, you just remove the disc drive. They've got the same storage size. Everything else is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, like, again, digital versions of the consoles I think are still a little bit shitty. But there's arguments either way. The other thing with Xbox and this Bethesda deal that's bugging me, that I'm trying to wrap my head around here, is they've said like, oh, we're just going to let Bethesda be Bethesda. And I don't know if I like that.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know what, because like, there's like a bunch of different thoughts going in my head around this of like, we're going to let Bethesda be Bethesda. And my instinct is, fuck off. No. Like, Bethesda sucks. And they have for ages. Like, if they're going to be bought by Microsoft and have this cash injection, fucking use it.
Yeah.
I fucking love that meme. I fucking love that meme of Bethesda when they realize that Microsoft is going to give them like solid end times for release days.
Yeah.
Like crying children.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so like, if you're gonna get this cash injection from Microsoft, use it. Make your games better. Make them not broken. Get better.
Like, that's Bethesda Game Studio specifically. Like, half the reason people think that this sale was even a thing is because like Bethesda published games haven't been selling all that well. Like, haven't been meeting expectations. Like, as much as we love these games, like Wolfenstein, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal,
excellent
haven't been
fucking
reaching
games.
Yeah, excellent games, just not selling because Bethesda really wanted to do the single player narrative, which won gamers' hearts and minds, but like they haven't been panning out sales wise. So that's why, like, Microsoft was able to buy them, not cheaply at all.
$7.5 billion is not cheap.
No, it's more. That's a Marvel and almost a Star Wars price.
Yeah,
like,
I think adjusted for inflation, I think it is a Marvel and a Star Wars.
Inflation in 10 years.
Yeah. Because the things have actually gone down, I think. Well,
Okay.
maybe not.
Marvel and Star Wars cost $4 billion each.
Okay, so close enough. I don't know. $7.5 billion is a lot of money.
It is. It's a fuckload.
Considering you could get a Marvel for $4 billion.
Yeah.
And what you got for this, like Fallout, Skyrim, I don't think those properties have made nearly as much money as Marvel has made.
No. But where am I going with that? So yeah, that's probably why they were able to sell in the beginning. And also, like, I think the Bombcast talked about it. Like, there's a bunch of old people at Bethesda, like Todd Howard and Pete Hines. They probably want to like stay a couple of years and just cash out. Like,
yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, so if Microsoft leaves Bethesda alone and they keep doing what they're doing,
that's where we're going. Yeah.
That's not an appealing idea for a sale. Like, why would you do that? But then there's the other side of the problem of like, well, do you really want a corporation like Microsoft messing with the way Bethesda does things? Because part of the things that make Bethesda games so special is their innate ability to make the impossible happen. Is these magical worlds that are, bespoke clockwork machines that, you know, if you throw one spanner in the work, the whole thing spins apart. You know, there's something charming about that. So, what do you...
Are you talking about if you mod Skyrim and it fucking crashes?
Yeah, basically.
No, if you play it on PlayStation 3 and it does any of that.
I'm also talking about the things of, like, you can kill NPCs that are really pivotal to the story.
Oh.
You know, and suddenly end up in a point where you're like, well, I got no idea what I'm doing. Like, those kind of, like, natural occurrences that can happen in gameplay that mean you end up with a different creation than what the artists intended. Which is really cool, but what are you going to end up with? Like, my question is, like, do you end up with the same Bethesda bullshit with no change, or do you end up with Bethesda being neutered? And neither of those two seem good to me. Because I don't think a corporation like Microsoft would go into Bethesda and say, like, oh, we're going to throw money at you and it's going to be as broken as it used to be. Or we're going to throw money at you and you're going to fix all those problems, because I think those problems are inherent to the way Bethesda makes games.
Yeah, it's inherent to the game design. It's inherent to that engine.
Exactly.
Which they haven't updated since Fallout 3.
And so, well, then what? Did Microsoft give them money to update the engine?
They need it. Like, that's the thing. Like, if they could, it'd be good for Bethesda Game Softworks to actually, like, stop, rebuild that engine, and start again. But they just need to keep building, because they announced 2 games, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
And if they stop and restart, those games will be like Square Enix level of, like, hype / disappointment / memed.
It also just rubs me the wrong way in terms of, like, yeah, it's more mega corporations buying other mega corporations. We're, like, really fastly accelerating towards the future of, like, there are 5 corporations and they make everything. That really terrifies me. Of, like, what? Yeah, basically.
Like, with gaming, this is the first, like, flag. Like, companies buying company, like Sony buying Insomniac and all that. That hasn't always, like, worried me about, like, media consolidation. Like, it's never, like, Disney buying Fox. Like, it never stressed me out as much as that. This is, like, it's encroaching on that. I'm like, it's the first red flag, because there's a lot of big there's 5 or 6 big publishers. One just merged into another. Like, it's not as...
Yeah, I mean, this puts the idea of, like, well, what's next then? Like, what does Sony go, like, well, fuck you, we buying Ubisoft?
The thing is, like, a lot of people don't think Sony could actually do this, because, like, what this purchase was all of Sony's operating costs over the last 7 years. Like, they got $8 billion operating costs, which means that, like, they don't have that money to throw in. Because this is Microsoft.
Pretty sure they could.
It'd be a huge investment.
It's
and,
Sony.
Like, they would make it up.
Like, the thing that, like, PlayStation is its most profitable division.
Yeah.
In Sony, but, like, Sony makes a lot of shit. Like, lot of shit.
A lot.
And in terms of other divisions and other things, like, there are places like it's like Samsung in Korea. Like, Samsung makes everything in Korea. Like, everything. I'm talking, like, toothbrushes and shit like that. Like, they make everything. Like, there are countries in the world where Sony does that too. Like, they're huge. On a level that Microsoft... I think a lot of people underestimate how big Sony is and how much it could actually throw its weight around. But also, there's the thing of, like, Microsoft paid $7.5 billion for ZeniMax because that's how much those two parties agreed that purchase was worth. There's no saying that Sony couldn't waltz up to some other company and be like, yo, we'll give you $2 billion.
Yeah. And
still purchase a Ubisoft. Or something like that.
Ubisoft, I think, is a little bit out of the question, because, like, we saw them fight Vivendi. Like, that is...
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is also...
Vivendi's not great.
Yeah, and like... but also, like, Ubisoft is having its own PR troubles right now, and maybe they just want to sweep it all under the rug and go away. Like, maybe Yves Guillemot wants to just cash out and be like, oh, well, I'm done, man. Like, fuck this, I'm out.
I think, no, what's his name? Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Said that they aren't...
Phil Swift.
That we still want to buy other companies, essentially. And the only other thing that I think that they've got left in their tool belt that they need to do that they think they need to do is get that Japanese audience. That's the thing they've been chasing.
They need a
since day
Japanese
one of
developer. Yeah.
And like there was rumors for ages that they were going to buy Capcom because they were on their like last leg.
But
then
Monster Hunter saved them. Yada yada yada. Yeah.
Konami's the only other one, but I don't know.
Yeah, but Konami's happy making money off pachinko. Like it doesn't need
exactly.
This. It never needed this.
But like my like one worry, I guess, is that like Microsoft buys Square Enix. Like that's the Japanese company to buy.
I just don't think that's going to happen, especially because we've already got like PS5 exclusive Final Fantasy 16.
Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo were console exclusive, like for Bethesda.
Yeah, but like, that's the thing is that like those were sub studios within Bethesda, and then they bought the whole company out. I just don't see. I mean, I guess no one saw the move from Nintendo to Sony with Final Fantasy back in the 90s.
Yeah,
I guess it could happen, but I just don't think Microsoft wants to wade into the miasma that is Square Enix. Like,
yeah,
I don't think there's any other company that can deal with Square Enix's bullshit other than Sony.
Yeah, because they have dealt with them for a long time.
Yeah, for long enough that they know how to like navigate those waters and get through the other side. Whereas I think Microsoft, I think it's the same thing with Konami, and I think it's the same thing with Capcom, honestly. I think Microsoft trying to buy those ones is just a bad idea, because they're going to walk in and be like, all right, let's make some changes around here, and they're all going to be looking at it like, what are you doing? Like, this is not how Japanese development works. This is not how we function as a company, and them trying to like swoop in over the top and break that is just not going to happen. I think the other thing that I think people that kind of bugs me about this, again, I actually don't think this is that big of a deal. I think it's just going to be a thing. It was weird when Microsoft bought Minecraft, It
was weird when they bought Rare.
Yeah. But this one's a bit bigger because, Mojang doesn't make anything else. They just make fucking Minecraft.
Yeah.
And
Minecraft Dungeons.
Yeah. And Rare had practically been dead for a decade or so. Like they hadn't put anything out when they bought that in a while. So this was like, oh, it's not that we're buying Rare. It's more that you're resurrecting it. So that's cool. This is a little bit weirder because Bethesda is very much an active game studio that is currently making things. Things that were already in development, things that were slated for the PS5 or for PS5 exclusive. The thing is that there seems to be two philosophies about there are two philosophies about doing this kind of deal about exclusives. You either make a company or you buy a company.
Yeah.
And it feels as though Microsoft is definitely going on the, oh, you're making some good shit over there. What if you made it for us?
Yeah.
Tracked. Whereas Sony has been developing their worldwide studios thing. Where they just kind of go, okay, well, we'll just make this division. Like, we want a game from this place. Do that.
With a couple of acquisitions here and there, like an Insomniac, like a Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Sony Santa Monica, Sony London, it's Sony San Diego.
Yeah. And they just make the, like, or they'll bring in the talent and be like, okay, cool, we'll just I mean, the thing is with Insomniac, like, they honestly, I think a lot of people were like, wait, Sony didn't already own Insomniac? Because they, they made so many fucking games for them. The only real deviation was Sunset Overdrive, and what a fantastic deviation that was.
Well, the game was good, but like, the
game was fine. Let's not.
Okay.
Let's not. Damn.
I think the thing that, like, in 2018 when they bought them, it was they were pumping out a bunch of VR games. They became an experimental studio for them outside of their Ratchets and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
man, Ratchet Rift Apart looks so fucking good. God,
good, yeah. I thought that was going to be a launch title. It's not.
Yeah, I think there's still no, because Insomniac has said like, we're going to try. Like, I think it's still up in the air as to when that thing releases.
I think they officially said launch window at Gamescom,
and that could mean anything.
Launch window means to March.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, well, some people consider the first year the launch window.
Everyone else isn't Nintendo, so no.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But the thing is, like, what do you define as the launch window? I would kind of define that as when, like, there's the launch of the console, but I think the launch window officially ends when it's able to be bought generally. That's kind of my way of looking at it.
Well, I don't know. This generation's weird because like last generation, it was like you could go into a store and buy one.
No, because they sold out their launch window. Like it took until March the following year before PlayStations and Xboxes were readily available. Like you could walk into a store and just go, "Give me one," and they had one there. It took a while because the way I look at it is that launch, you like make a bunch of consoles and you think it's going to be enough, and then it's not enough and not enough, not enough, not enough. Okay, now there's enough. My definition of launch window is when there's enough, because at that point there's enough people going, all right, well, where are the games?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And so your launch, you have to get games that are in the launch window are the ones that where the most rabid people are going to be buying them. Once you get past that and everyone's got the console, now everything else is just a PS5 game. You see what I mean? It's a weird
I
definition.
see your logic. I don't think it necessarily applies. Like for me, it's just a pure time sense. It's
Well, for me, it's the first 12 months. I consider that.
That's as far as I'll stretch it. Yeah. Nintendo went for 2 years, which was stupid.
That's ridiculous. Fuck that. No.
Yeah.
12 months max. Like the next holiday after your launch is when you're like, no, this is no longer launch. This is just a PS5 game now. These are just PS5 games because everything's a PS5 game now, or Xbox Series X game or whatever. But yeah, it's been a weird fucking week.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been playing my Switch again, which has been weird.
Yeah. It'll if Fallout or Starfield or Elder Scrolls, if any of those become an Xbox exclusive, that is where you're going to see problems.
They're going to happen. That's the thing. They become Games Pass / disc Xbox exclusives. I think that's the case. The other case is that people's like, oh, you can pay $70 or $70 American. I don't know how much it's going to actually end up being here. 80. You can pay $80 on PlayStation 5, or you can get it for $15 a month on Games Pass. Like that's the only legitimate reason why they would put it out on PlayStation, which is why I haven't played the Outer Worlds, because I know that thing's on Games Pass. I don't want to pay $69 for it.
Yeah, I guess, but I think the thing that's going to decide whether or not that's going to continue to be a problem is whether or not whether or not people still want to be able to trade games and lend games and all that kind of stuff. Whether that part of society in the games industry dies.
It's been dying off. I think it's just because like every game that people want to play nowadays is a fucking battle royale or some shit.
It's a free-to-play game for the most part. Like those are the most successful games.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's Game Pass. Like ever since Netflix is a thing, there's not really been like this outcry of like, I want to fucking trade in my fucking Daredevil DVD.
But that's the thing, is that like looking at the trends and the way things are going, one of the things that I noticed recently was that a lot of analysts are looking at the subscription market and being like, a lot of people are canceling their subscriptions now because there's only so much you can actually watch. So being subscribed to Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Stan, Binge, fucking KO, WWE Network, HBO Max, Foxtel, like all this shit stacked on top of each other. At a certain point, you're paying $200-300 a month, and half the shit you don't watch, which was the problem with pay TV.
Yeah.
Was that you would be subscribed for a monthly fee, and you wouldn't watch most of the shit on there. You watch like 2 channels. So people are starting to cancel off these subscriptions, and the reason I still have not got Game Pass to this day is because I'm like, I'm never going to play any of those games, ever.
Yeah.
I would go like, oh yeah, no, maybe Outer Wild seems great. No, yeah, I played like 2 of the Gears of War games for like 15 minutes. I would never finish anything on there. There's too much. I would never play anything on there because at the moment, the only things I play are the things that I go out and save and purchase because they are a purchase and I put money into that. I'm going to finish that game. But if it's a subscription, fuck it, man. I'll get to it later. Like most of the shit on Netflix and Amazon Prime that I could watch. I don't watch it because I'll get to it later, I guess. So, like, the subscription model, I don't know if that's gonna, like, I think it works for a lot of people. I think there are a lot of people out there, though, that it will not work, or given where the economy's going, people are going to have to make sacrifices on what they do. And I think it's easier for people to say, I'm just not going to subscribe to something and remove that monthly expenditure. And instead, I'm going to pick and choose which games I want to buy throughout the year and save for them. I'll put $5 away a month instead of $15.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Do you know this is recording off of my computer and I can't move the mouse right now?
What do you mean?
I can't say watch stream.
Oh, okay.
I can't see it.
It's
with your point, like your logic is Sony's logic at the moment. That's why they're like, now physical games, you get PlayStation Plus collection at most. Get back.
I mean, come on, the PlayStation Plus collection looks pretty fucking good. To be fair.
No, to me, it does look good. Most of those games I've already got through PlayStation Plus or I already own. It's like Mortal Kombat 10 on there and Days Gone that I haven't played.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, cool.
But
I might give them a crack.
But again, like, Game Pass at launch didn't look fucking great to me either.
No, and that's the thing. I actually hope this actually does get better. Like, if this is an improving catalog. If it's just this stagnant collection and maybe they add Horizon 2 or 1 to it one day, cool.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? With Games Pass or PlayStation?
PlayStation Plus collection. Did you see that?
I couldn't care about PlayStation Plus, to be honest. I think
That's
Games Pass is much better.
It is much better.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that PlayStation Plus is now adding in a similar Game Pass feature.
What is it?
So at the moment, if you buy a PS5, I think it's a little bit hazy on what the details are, but basically it's Game Pass, but instead of Xbox games, it's all the PlayStation exclusives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted.
I wouldn't think that would matter basically because everyone.
Well, what it's designed for.
So good in the first place. That's why everyone always buys PlayStation shit.
I know, but what it's designed for is for the people who didn't buy those games. Like, hey, if you buy a PS5 and you get PlayStation Plus, you don't need to buy a bunch of shit. You just buy PlayStation Plus for 1 year, and boom, you've got all of these games you can go and play through right now, with a boost in like 4K and higher frame
whatever
rate,
boost
whatever
mode work.
Yeah, whatever boost mode you've got, it's going to look prettier. You get to play all of these games at no extra charge, just the PlayStation Plus subscription, and then they can add to it later. Like Game Pass, I think the thing is, it's the same thing with a lot of other subscription services of like, well, they got nothing on there. Yeah, they got nothing on there. They just fucking started it.
At the start, yeah.
Yeah, like Games Pass didn't have anything on there either. It was like, fucking, what am I playing on here?
Yeah. For me, Game Pass has sold me. That's why I want an Xbox. But like, yeah, it is those specific games. It's those specific backwards compatibility things. It's like, it's a very like targeted thing for what I want. But like, that's why I am getting PlayStation 5 at launch. Like, I still want that because that's where my catalog is.
Yeah.
That's where everything, like, that's where I've established my shit. But yeah, I don't know about this place. It's just this batch of games that they just have on the store. And it's like, oh.
Your audio just dropped.
Audio went really bad.
Okay.
Oh. No, that was better.
Oh, that's better.
Okay.
I think your mic just dropped out for a second.
Okay.
Like, the collection's a good starting point, and I think it's purely there for people who never played those games before. Like, it's not for everyone, obviously, and if you've got PlayStation Plus, it's already going to be active on your account. Like, it's not... Again, it's like, it's this thing of like...
That's what...
PlayStation Plus is not... It's not the same as Games Pass, because Games Pass is an extra thing. PlayStation Plus collection is just a value add. It's like, hey, you got PlayStation Plus? Now you got this too. Like, that's the difference. Because when Game Pass launched, it was like, you had to play Xbox Live Gold, and this was another subscription on top of that. This is just included in the price of PlayStation Plus. I think that's a better deal so far. And if they continue to do it, because you got to remember, about a year or year and a half ago, they did increase the price of PlayStation Plus.
How much is it?
$79.95 for a year.
$17.99 for a year. How much is it?
$7 a month, $10 a month, something like that.
It's relatively cheap. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pay yearly.
I
so
pay
don't
yearly as well,
really
so
pay
like it's
attention to
not.
the monthly.
Yeah, I don't care about it because the yearly one is way cheaper.
Looking up the price. Yeah, and I know I will use it for the year.
Yeah, I think it's $10.95 a month.
$9.95.
Oh my god.
And they still do the free game every month. Like, and that's not a. And that's the other thing with Game Pass is that like.
You get 3 games every month with Xbox Gold.
Yeah,
with Xbox Live Gold.
But they copied that off of PlayStation.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, Plus did that first.
Like, what, back in PlayStation 3 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus was
Yeah.
the first. They were like, hey, if you subscribe to PlayStation Plus, you don't just get access to the online servers.
You may as well just be like, oh, well, yeah, but what PlayStation is doing now is copying the Games Pass. It's just how
It is.
works.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying it is. I'm just saying that, like, it's not...
I prefer PlayStation overall, but I'm desperate. I'm desperate for Xbox to get their shit together.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but what I'm saying is that, like, I think people are saying... Like, the PlayStation Plus collection thing, I think, is a good starting point. For anyone to say that it's not as good as Game Pass is basically... No, duh. It just started. Like, it's the same thing, because when PlayStation launched PlayStation Plus, they were not as good as Xbox Live. Xbox Live was a better service by far. Then PlayStation... Then PlayStation added the free
play
games.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah. PlayStation Plus was never to pay online to begin with.
No.
That wasn't a thing until PS4.
Yeah.
Like, to begin with, it was the free games and stuff like Infamous and Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
And that's why they added the
Stuff like
free
that.
game stuff in, because that's what made PlayStation Plus a better value add than Xbox Live. And then Xbox Live saw that and went, you know what? Why don't we do that? And they did the games for gold thing. So when you had Xbox Live Gold, you got free games. And that works out really well. Both companies saw that that was a really good idea. So then what Xbox did was go, well, why don't you just pay us for the subscription directly and we'll just give you 1 million games? And they created Game Pass instead. And now PlayStation's looking at Game Pass and going, okay, well, what's our version of that? It's not it's copying.
Now.
Yeah, it's copying and like evolving and iteration on each other's ideas. And that's a good thing, because it means the people that win are us, because we get to play more games for free. Or cheaper.
Cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got... Yes, PlayStation Plus at the moment is $9.95.
Yeah.
And Game Pass Ultimate, which is the same thing, is $14.99. Games Pass Ultimate is Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass.
Game Pass together. Yeah.
And Game Pass for PC and...
Yeah.
All of it, yeah.
And EA Access now, which is the other weird thing that they added.
EA Access as well, yeah.
Yay.
So, I mean,
Anthem? Oh.
Again, like that. See, that's the weird thing about this kind of stuff. Is like, oh, do I want to pay $15 a month and possibly play Anthem when I bought that game for $5?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Do you see what I mean? Like, $15 a month now seems like a bit steep if that's the game you're gonna play.
For me, like with EA Access specifically, what my plan was to wait for a bunch of games to build up and then play through it, like subscribe for a month and then go through that, like Battlefront 2, Sea of Solitude, and that's all I got on that list.
Yeah.
And then Battlefront 2 with the PS Plus games. I'm like, well, fuck,
Yeah.
I'm never playing Sea of Solitude.
And see, this is the thing, is that like all the third-party stuff, they bounce between the two anyway. So like you're gonna get it eventually. The thing that you want to subscribe for Game Pass is the exclusives. And for me, still, Xbox exclusives suck balls.
Yeah.
None of them make me want to buy Game Pass.
Fable is decent.
Fable might get me across the line. Halo maybe, but even
I was gonna
then,
say like Halo Infinite, like that.
No.
Yeah.
No, they delayed that shit because like it.
But that's what I mean. Like, yeah, that was their whole goal. Like, if Halo Infinite had launched, that would have been like their consolidation of their like dream.
Yeah.
AAA games on this thing, on this like.
But
this,
honestly,
whatever
at this
console you
point,
wanted.
I got a PS5 on pre-order, and I'm looking. I'm like, well, maybe I'll play Godfall. Maybe that's what I'm gonna play.
Spider-Man.
I'm actually okay. I don't think I need that.
Miles Morales, really?
Honestly, I think I got enough Spider-Man after the last Spider-Man game. I don't know if I want to play Miles Morales. At least not now. Like maybe in a year I'll play that, but I'm not chomping at the bit for that. I'm more like the games I'm keen for on PlayStation 5 are Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Final Fantasy 16, and honestly, I've been looking at Godfall going, maybe I'll just play that. That seems like one of those fun games that'll be like, oh, that was, it's like Rise Son of
Yeah.
Rome, or what was the other one?
Knack.
Knack. Yeah, Knack. Oh, fucking Knack.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm just not. I'm looking at Mars Morales. I'm going, yeah. I don't know.
That
God.
music though.
I've never heard of Godfall before.
Sorry.
I've never heard of Godfall before.
It's
Epic's. It's Epic's new game. It's a shooter slasher.
no, it's a loot slasher. It's a
looter
slusher.
slasher.
It's a loot slasher. Yeah, not a schluter. Slusher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's
keep showing this thing off, and we're like, "Is this new? Are you? Oh, it's a new shield icon. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks, Jeff Keighley.
it's the only game for the last like 18 months to 2 years that we've known since its announcement is a PS5 game.
Yeah.
Like it was announced as a PS5 game, and we knew it from day dot. So it's the only one that we know, and it's one of the only games that is also only for PS5. It has not yet had and you can get it on PS4 too.
Like
yet.
that Demon Souls, and I think that's mostly it at the moment.
Sackboy.
Sackboy, I think it's also coming to PS4.
Oh, is it?
What's that? What's that? Why-
Sackboy's big adventure is just what if they cloned Mario 3D World,
Yeah.
and made it Little Big Planet, and like that's a good idea. 3D World's like a really great Mario platformer. Let's do that for a PlayStation icon.
Yep.
It's not. I don't think it has the creative elements you like from Little Big Planet, but
I'm
yeah.
cool with that. That sounds fun. I'm looking at this game called New World. It just looks like Fable.
isn't that Amazon's RPG?
I think
MMO.
so. Yeah.
It heavily looks like Fable. It's
Sweet
giving
God.
mad vibes.
Because yeah, I've been looking at the launch lineup, and I'm like, I just don't want to. Like a lot of this stuff is like,
That's what I was saying at the start. I'm not gonna buy one straight away. I'm not gonna buy any of them straight away.
yeah, it's like, why would I want to play Destruction All Stars?
Nope. If it was PlayStation All Stars 2, maybe.
Maybe.
What's this?
What is Gotham Knights?
Gotham Knights. Oh shit, you didn't see this. It's the game from WB Montreal. It's not launch. I don't know why it's on that list. But
It's not, but it's a PS5 game that is confirmed.
It's Batman's Dead. You play as the Bat Family, which I'm excited for.
Interesting.
Honestly, the thing I'm excited most about the PS5 is that it's going to be a 4K Blu-ray player for me, and I'll be able to play like Last of Us, Final Fantasy in backwards compatibility.
I
mode
also,
and better.
yeah, that's the thing is that like it's going to be what I'm going to finish Ghost of Tsushima on.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to.
That's going to be what I'm using it for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to platinum remake and Last of Us on. That's what I'm going to play Avengers on because I bought it and that thing does not run well.
No. Yeah, that's going to be what I'm going to finish this generation on. Is
You
like
have
I'm
a
going to.
PlayStation Pro, don't you?
Sorry?
You have a PlayStation Pro, don't you?
I do. That's the funny thing. No, what had happened is it was pretty frame rate like lag, and then I'm like, okay, whatever. And then it just got like so bad. Like there were like 15 characters, all 4 Avengers, including the Hulk, and the thing was chugging. And then like I'm like, cool, this is down to like single frame, and then the whole thing just crashed. And I'm like, cool, I put it down. I'm like, maybe I'll play it on PS5, and that's now my actual thing. I never picked it up again. The CD's back in its case. I'm like, cool. I'll wait for that next gen, and hopefully it runs better.
Yeah,
Could be
hopefully.
worse. Could be worse.
Anyway, I think we've pretty much exhausted everything on that.
Yeah. End of the day, I am excited for next gen.
I am super
Both,
excited for
like-
next gen. Yeah, super excited.
Like
Cannot wait.
these business models are going forward, like Games Pass versus traditional versus Nintendo. Always.
Yeah,
versus
I mean that's the
Nintendo.
thing is Nintendo always gets a pass on this shit because they're just their own weird thing. But you know, there's
Yeah.
rumors that they're going to release a new version of the Switch next year.
I'm excited for that.
So yeah, like this, in a shit show of a year. Let's be fucking fair here.
Yeah.
What a trash fire of a year. There's some cool shit happening for video games, and this is going to be fun. And at
Like,
least,
video games. Continue.
I was going to say, at least my Christmas is going to be fun.
Yeah, for me, video games is like the only like surviving bastion in this hellscape because like games are still coming out.
Yeah.
There's still game news. Video game movies is all everything gets delayed.
Yeah.
Like
No
Robert
more
Pattinson
Marvel
got COVID.
films.
Like I'm honestly actually appreciating this break from Marvel films. Like
Yeah.
It's
My weird concern with that is that like when they come back, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, we're kind of done with you now.
yeah.
Because we've gone a year without you, so we don't need you. You know, turns out we don't need a Marvel film every 6 months, you fuckers.
Perhaps. But yeah, next gen's gonna be the interesting battle, and Microsoft just put their dick down and said, "Your turn, Sony." After just having their dicks being slapped all over Microsoft the whole generation.
Yeah, I mean, at least it seems the two companies are at least starting off on somewhat the same foot this time. Like they both seem to be hitting pretty hard. They're not. The only downstep I've seen so far is Xbox not having the exclusives at launch. They've got them coming, but at launch, PlayStation has just a slightly stronger lineup because they have a lineup. So that's the only difference between the two. But like I've said in the past, like after 12 months, that shit'll even out, and then at that point, it's just preference. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. I'm sure I'll be playing crossplay with people on Xbox all the time.
I would love to get to the point of I get to choose between which console I want, and then it have be a tough decision.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't want to just be like, well, obviously I'm going to get a PlayStation.
And I'm hoping and looking forward to when I decide to buy the Xbox, because I want that day to be like, fuck yes, finally, I got an Xbox. But as it stands, the PlayStation is where I'm going, and that's going to be good, but I'm looking forward to when I do eventually buy a Series X, because that's the one I'm going to get.
And honestly, like, it's the PC that wins. Like, they are getting PlayStation games now, even if it's a little bit delayed. Like, I think Demon Souls is console. Like, it's going to PC.
I think there was some weird confusion.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of like, no, it's not actually. That was a mistake, or it's you know, it may be eventually in the future, but boy, oh boy, is that going to be a while away? Because and it was same with Final Fantasy as well. There was like confusion as to like, wait a second, did you say that was coming to PC? And they're like, no.
I wouldn't be surprised if 16 deal is the same as 7 remakes, like a year of console exclusivity.
Yeah, and then it'll come to PC.
Probably the same one. And yeah, especially with like, and also Nvidia also coming out like, get a 3080.
Yeah.
Like I'm like maybe I will. Like I can't.
No, can't afford that shit.
No.
But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year.
It is 2021. Gonna slap hard, I guess. Microsoft. If you enjoyed this episode, please click that like button, subscribe, click that notification bell, because it's sporadic, and sometimes we can just surprise you on a random Tuesday with this episode.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice? What else?
I think I'm editing this one, so don't bet on a Tuesday.
Okay. If you enjoyed this episode, please. Oh wait, I already did that. If you have any questions, please comment below or email us at amalgamshow@gmail.com, and then follow us on social media at The Amalgam Show everywhere except Games Pass. There we go.
Except Games Pass.
Until next time, catch y'all later.
Bye. Okay, that should be enough time.
Why didn't you get me any Mac as you dirty cunt?